Today, we're diving into a legal story that honestly feels more like a spy thriller. We've got midnight operations, hidden cameras, and a court ruling so shocking it completely flipped the script on who owns a piece of creative work. So, let me just start by asking you a question. It seems simple, right? Imagine you create a video. You shoot it, you edit it, it's yours. Can a court just step in and force you to hand over the ownership to somebody else? You'd think the answer is no way. But an Australian court said, oh yes, we can. And that is the wild story we're unpacking today. How the target of a secret recording actually ended up owning the copyright to the very footage that was meant to take them down. To really get how this happened, we've got to go back to the very beginning. And our story doesn't start in some stuffy courtroom. It starts in the middle of the night, with a crime in the shadows. Okay, so who are the main players in this drama? First, you have the Game Meats Company, or GMC. They're a legitimate, licensed goat abattoir. And on the other side, you've got Farm Transparency International, or FTI, an activist group on a mission. And what was that mission? Well, the court itself called it a public shaming campaign against GMC. So how did they go about this campaign? Well, look at this timeline. This wasn't a one-time thing. It was a full-blown operation. For 3 straight months, FTI operatives snuck onto GMC's property. We're talking 7 different times, crawling under fences at night to plant and then later retrieve their hidden cameras. And what did they get from all this? A video, almost 14 minutes long. But you have to understand, this wasn't just a recording. It was a weapon. It was pieced together from all that illegal footage with one single goal: to cause as much damage as humanly possible to GMC's reputation and its business. As you can imagine, GMC sued FTI, and at first it looked like they got a clear win. But what they quickly learned was that sometimes winning a court case doesn't actually mean you've won anything at all. So the first court ruled, and yeah, GMC won. They were awarded $130,000 for the trespassing. But, and this is a huge but, the court also said FTI got to keep the copyright to the video. Think about that. Even after paying a fine, FTI still legally owned the weapon they had created and could keep on using it. For GMC, it felt like a total hollow victory. This, of course, led to an appeal, and it put a really fascinating legal question on the table. You know that phrase, the fruit of the poisonous tree? Well, if the illegal trespass was the poisonous tree, could the fruit, that video copyright, be taken away from the trespasser and given to the victim? That was the big question. So for the appeal, GMC's lawyers knew they needed a new strategy. Just asking for money wasn't enough. They had to go after the copyright itself. And to do that, they pulled out a kind of hidden weapon from the legal playbook. And that weapon is called a constructive trust. It's basically a legal do-over button for fairness. It's a tool courts can use when someone technically owns property, but they got it in such a wrongful way that it's just not right for them to keep it. The judge can basically say, nope, it's against good conscience for you to own this. You're now holding it in trust for the rightful owner, and you're ordered to hand it over. And this wasn't some crazy, out-of-the-blue idea. Australia's High Court had actually hinted at this very thing way back in 2001. They said that if a film was created by violating someone's rights, it might be inequitable and against good conscience for the creator to keep the copyright. That little opening was everything GMC's legal team needed. So the stage was set for the final appeal. And this time, it wasn't just going to be about what FTI did. The entire case came down to one crucial thing: why they did it. And the result? A complete and total reversal. I mean, a clean sweep for GMC. The court didn't just order FTI to hand over the copyright, it banned them from ever publishing the footage again and ordered them to delete every single copy they had. It was an absolute victory. So what made the difference? Why such a dramatic turnaround? Well, the court laid it out perfectly. They compared this case to an older one where activists also trespassed and filmed, but in that case, their goal was just to get a vet's opinion. Now look at FTI. Their stated goal was a public shaming campaign. Their intent was to cause harm. For the court, that single fact, that malicious intent, changed absolutely everything. And this right here is the heart of the whole decision. The court found that the entire project was, and I'm quoting them, actuated by desire to harm GMC's business. The video wasn't just a byproduct of the trespass, it was the entire point of the trespass. The two were inseparable. Wow.
So this case wasn't just a big deal for the two companies involved. It set a major precedent. So what are the big lessons we should all take away from this?
Okay, first big takeaway. This case really drives home a very old principle. And that is, how you acquire something is directly tied to your right to keep it. That whole fruit of the poisonous tree thing isn't just a metaphor. If you create something, but the very act of creating it was illegal or wrongful, a court can say, sorry, you don't get to enjoy the fruits of your crime. The second lesson is maybe the most shocking one, and it's all about copyright. We all tend to believe that copyright is absolute. You make it, you own it. Period. But this case proves that's not always true. Copyright isn't a magic shield. If creating your art involves a serious crime against someone else, a court has the power to literally strip you of your ownership. And that brings us to the third, and I think the most important lesson from this whole saga.
It's this: your motive matters more than anything. FTI tried to argue they were doing this for the public good, but the court looked past that and saw the real intent, which was to cause harm. It's a powerful reminder that you can't just wrap a harmful act in the language of justice and expect the law not to see its true purpose.
So at the end of the day, this case shows us that simply creating something doesn't guarantee you own it forever. It leaves us all with a pretty heavy question to think about. A camera might be in your hands, but when all is said and done, who really decides who owns the picture?